This is the part 2 of the chapter Life Process in Living Organism. Now in this video, we will be learning about coordination. Now several different organ systems function in our body. Their life goes on smoothly if there is coordination between the different organ system or organs. And it depends upon this that we can say that if there is proper coordination and if there is proper control of different life processes, then our body will work smoothly. So if any activity in the body is to be completed successfully, proper coordination between the different systems and the organs participate at different steps, and then the activity can be completed. So let us start with coordination, that how coordination happens in plants. Now plants do not have systems like nervous system or muscular system as we animals have. Then how do plants bring about movement? So in plants, the movement is in the form of responsiveness to stimuli. So any stimuli which works for the plant, it in that way the movement will happen. Now the movement or growth of any part of the plant in response to any external stimulus is called as tropism, or you can also call it as tropic movement. So if the shoot system of any plant respond to the light stimulus, that is, if it grows towards the source of light, the movement in the plant is shown towards the light source. It is called as the phototrophic movement. Second is the root system of the plant responds to any stimulus like gravitation of water. It is called as gravitopic movement if it is with gravitation, and if it is in response to water, then it is called as hydrotropic movement. Then if the movement is shown by the plant in response to chemicals, it is called as chemotropic movement. So all the above mentioned movement, they are growth relevant movements. So all the movements like phototrophic movement, gravitropic movement, hydrotropic movement, chemotropic movement, they are all growth relevant movement where growth is happening. Now in some plants, they use the electrochemical impulses to transfer the information from one place to the other place. Now these plant cells, they change their shape by increasing or decreasing their water content, and thereby they bring about the movement of the plants. So some specific movement of plants which do not lead to the growth, where there is no growth which is happening, there is only movement which is happening in the plants, that is called as the growth irrelevant movement. Few examples of growth irrelevant movement is like when you touch the mimosa plant or touch me not plant. The leaves will automatically close itself as soon as you touch it. So this is because of the electrochemical impulse in it. Venus flytrap is any insect if comes and sit on the Venus plant, it tries to enclose the insect inside it. It is also because of the electrochemical impulse in it. So such type of plants where there is no growth happening, for example in lotus, it opens during the daytime, while if we see about the tuberose, it opens during the night time. So these are all the things happening because of the electrochemical impulse in it, and there is no growth. So these type of movement are called as growth irrelevant movement. Let us talk about the coordination in human beings. So different processes go on in our body, and all these processes need to be efficiently controlled. So this is controlled with the help of two systems, that is nervous control and the chemical control. Let us first learn about the nervous control. Now we humans can respond to changes in our surrounding due to the nervous control only. The impulses are generated in the human body, and according to that impulses, we will react. So the nervous control plays the important role of empowering the body cells with the ability to respond to these impulses. Now this ability also depends upon the complexity of the organization of the organism's body structure. Now unicellular animals like amoeba, they do not have any nervous system. But we multicellular humans have a nervous system to respond to the stimuli. So control and coordination is brought about with the help of a special type of cells which are called as the nerve cells or the neurons. Let us now study about the nerve cells. So the special types of cells which conduct impulses from one place to another place in the body are called as the neurons. Now neurons are the structural and functional unit of our nervous system. Now these nerve cells, the largest cells of the human body, are our nerve cells only, and they can even measure up to few meters in length. Now nerve cells, they have ability to generate the electrochemical impulses, and the cell that supports the nerve cell and help in their functioning are called as the neuroglia. Now nerve cells and the neuroglial cells together forms our nerves. So all the information about our surrounding, they are collected by the end of the dendrites of the neuron. In the picture you can see there are dendrites which are there. The chemical process begins as those ends and electrical impulses are generated which are conducted from the dendrites to the cell body. Now from the cell body to the axon and from the axon to the axon terminal. Now these impulses are to be transferred from this nerve cell to the next nerve cells. So this happens through a process which is called as the synapses. So the impulse that reaches the terminal of an axon, it stimulates the nerve cells to secrete certain type of chemicals, and these chemicals, they pass through a minute space which we call it as the synapse. Now between the two neurons which are next to each other, and it generates the electrochemical impulse in the dendrites of the next neuron. Now in this way, the impulses are conducted in the body, and these impulses are finally conveyed by the nerve cells to the muscle cells or to the gland. And this is how we come to know that something has happened in our body because of these nerve cells only. So this is how the transfer of information takes place between the two nerve cells because of the synapse which is present in between, where they can transfer their electrochemical impulse and it can be transferred to the next dendrite. Now according to the function in our body, nerve cells are classified into three types. First is the sensory neurons, second motor neurons, and third associated neurons. Now sensory neurons, they conduct the impulses from a sensory organ to the brain or spinal cord. Motor neurons conduct impulses from brain or spinal cord to the effective organs of the muscles or gland, whichever organ it is. Association neurons, they perform the function of integration in the nervous system. So this is how all the three neurons work together. Now the human nervous system is also divided into three parts, that is the central nervous system CNS, peripheral nervous system PNS, and autonomous nervous system ANS. Now central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, peripheral nervous system consists of cranial and the spinal nerves, and autonomous nervous system consists of the nerves of the involuntary organ. So first we'll start with our central nervous system, which consists of our brain and the spinal cord. Now the organization of the brain is extremely delicate, and the brain is mainly controlling our nervous system, and so it has to be protected. So our brain is protected inside the cranial cavity. Now the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. As you can touch your back, you can see your spinal cord. It is protected with the vertebral column. Now in the spaces between the delicate central nervous system and the bony covering which is there, there is a layer which is called as the meninges. The cavity is present in various parts of the brain. They are called as ventricles. There are also some tubular cavity of the spinal cord. It is called as the central canal. So all of these together, they work and they protect our brain. Now the human brain is divided into two, the left and the right brain. The brain of an adult human being, it weighs for around 1300 to 1400 grams, and it approximately contains billions of neurons in it. Now the left side of our brain controls the right side of our body, and the right side of our brain controls the left side of our body. The left side of the brain controls our speech, our conversation, writing, logical thinking, etc. And our right side of the brain controls our artistic abilities. Now the human brain is divided into three parts. First is the cerebrum. Now this is the largest part of our brain and it consists of two cerebral hemispheres. There are also joined, the two hemispheres are also joined by tough fibers and nerve tract. The cerebrum consists of two-thirds of our brain because it is the large brain that we call it as. And the surface, it has deep ridges, grooves, and they are called as convolutions. And the convolution increases the surface area of the cerebrum. Therefore, a large number of cells the nerve cells, they can be accommodated or placed inside our cerebrum. Then we have the second part that is called as the cerebellum. Now this is the smaller part of the brain, which we also call it as small brain, and it is situated below the cerebrum at the back of the cranial cavity, and it also shows some grooves and deep convolutions. Then the third part is the medulla oblongata. Now this is the last part of the brain, which it is also called as the hindmost part of the brain. There are two swollen triangular structures which we call it as pyramids on the upper side of the medulla oblongata, and the medulla oblongata also continues downwards to our spinal cord. Now next, central nervous system has the second part, that is our spinal cord. Within the vertebral column, our spinal cord is enclosed and it is slightly thick but gradually tapers towards the end. There are also threads and fibers like structures at the end, which we call it as filum terminale. So all these structure, the nerves extend to each and every part of our body. Now the spinal cord, it helps in conduction of impulses from the skin towards the brain. It also helps in conduction of impulses from brain to the muscles and glands, and also it functions as the center of the coordination of our reflex action. So next part, that is peripheral nervous system. Now peripheral nervous system consists of the nerves which are originating from our cranium and our spine. So there are two types of nerves, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Now the nerves which are originating from our brain, they are called as cranial nerves. They are associated with your head, thorax and your abdomen, and there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. If we talk about spinal nerves, they are the nerves originating from our spinal cord and they are associated with our arms, legs, skin. And there are 31 pairs of the spinal nerves. And the third system is our autonomic nervous system. Now, autonomic nervous system consists of the nerves of our involuntary organs. Now, our heart, lungs, our stomach is function and they are not in our control. You can't just punch in your heart and you will feel anything. The nerves, they work automatically, and as it is not in your control, they are called as the autonomous nervous system. Now, have you ever took your hand behind when something hot touches your hand or something pricks your hand? Immediately we pull our hand behind or leg behind. So this is the reflex action. So an immediate and involuntary response which is given to any stimulus from the environment, that is called as the reflex action. Now sometimes we react to any incident without even thinking, and it happens automatically because of the stimulus which is present in our bodies, because of the control and coordination which is happening in our body. So if your reflex is fast, that means your body is in your control. In some people where the nervous system do not work properly, they won't feel anything and they won't have any reflex in their body. Next is the chemical control. Now there are hormones in our body which are secreted, and these hormones are called as the endocrine glands. So these are some chemicals which are responsible for control and coordination. Now these glands are also ductless glands. They do not have duct. These glands do not have any arrangement for their own to either store or carry their secretion. And that is the reason the hormones are produced and they are directly released into the blood circulation. And these endocrine glands are present at specific locations in their body, but their secretion reaches to each part of the body because it is secreted directly into the blood. Now, the endocrine glands along with the nervous system both are responsible for control and coordination in our body. Now, these two systems, they help the body to control and integrate our activities. And the difference between these two systems is that the nerve impulse are fast but the are short lived, because as soon as someone pinches you, it suddenly goes and then it thing is over. But the chemical control part, it is an action of hormones and it is a very slow and long lasting process. So in our body, various glands are there, and from there we have the hormones which are released, like hypothalamus, they secrete the different hormones. We have pituitary which secretes the hormones like the growth hormone, the uh, FSH hormone, the LH hormone, oxytocin. We have thyroid which secretes the thyroxine, calcitonin. So different glands are present in our body to secrete different hormones, and these hormones, they are very important and they are also required in a correct amount, because if it is more, then it will lead to problem in the body.